everybody, to Formula One Singapore Grand Prix hangout. We're going to be discussing the race last weekend, and we'll be joined by various people. Got Fabio here at the beginning to start with. So, Fabio, I'd like to pass it over to you just to give me your impressions of the Grand Prix and maybe start with giving us the results.
Yeah, I mean, what you want me to say? I'm happy as a puppy. I mean, it couldn't get any better than that. I mean, for me, Sebastian had a wonderful weekend. Kimi was on pace. It was personally it was to me it was really cool to see Ricciardo over there. I really like the guy. I mean, I don't think anybody disliked the guy. Besides probably Vettel last year, but that's that's
and
quite comprehensible.
and maybe Kvyat next year.
Oh yeah, yeah, Kvyat. Well, Kvyat I think
Or
has
is
got problems with him right now, so I don't know. But yeah, I mean, it was a very good race. Probably was less funny than a couple of weekends from a spectator point of view. But technically, I think it was quite astonishing. There were some things which I saw which were really interesting. How the race was managed was, brilliant. There were a couple of things, that they weren't really sure if they were going to make two stops or three. So that was quite funny. So yeah, I had a lot of fun.
excellent. It seems to me the race was unpredictable at best, but also confusing. So basically, we should point out here that the result was Ferrari first, Ricciardo second in Red Bull, and
Yeah.
Kimi Raikkonen third for Ferrari. This is very different, obviously, compared to normal. All this year, we've had Mercedes 1-2, 1-2,
Yeah.
pretty much all the way through, I think, apart from two races that maybe Vettel's won before. Um, and considering where Ferrari were at the beginning of the year, this seems almost nothing short of extremely improbable.
Well,
Considering,
no, I agree with you. I think that the improvement of Ferrari through the year is kind of a testament to this new team. As you know, they changed uh, the team manager. Now it's this guy Maurizio Arrivabene. That they changed. The CEO of Ferrari is different. So and they were really clear from the beginning that this was going to be a really difficult season. They were trying to improve, but not to expect, something spectacular. But they promised. The only promise they made was that they were uh, they would have kept working on the car, and performance and stuff like that. And I think the slow, I mean, the slow, but this is the but kind of precise pace that they improved, the performances is kind of a testament, to to what they said at the beginning of the year. So
hmm
I'm quite happy. I mean, it was quite fantastic. Sebastian race in particular, if we want to talk about the race, I, it was really brilliant. There was one time um, that it was basically pacing Ricciardo after I think the second pit stop,
hmm
because they probably thought of going with two pit stops.
mm
And that was to me was the key of the race. Ricciardo wasn't gaining, but I mean Vettel wasn't gaining too. So they were
mm
quite near up until to a point where apparently from the pit they decided to go for three pit stops. And I don't know if that happened. It happened before the second safety car, but they decided to go for three, and in three corners, they told Vettel, okay, go, and he just disappeared.
mm
I think, if I were Richard, I would have, banged my head in the car because, really, I mean, it just changed the pace and it
mm
literally zoomed away.
Yeah.
So and that's that's a sign that you're pretty confident in your means, and you can basically dictate the pace and dictate how you want the race to go.
Mm.
So yeah, that to me was a key point in understanding the real performances of the car.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, I think I certainly agree that it was a fantastically controlled race, and it's certainly what we have come to expect from Sebastian Vettel over the years. And he's not a full-time world champion for no reason.
Yeah.
Not just because he has an Adrian Newey car. Let's put it that way.
Mhm.
But I also think that he was extremely fortunate with the safety car timings, and that did certainly allow him to recover from the initial, what I thought was a mistake, which was pulling away from the field initially. So I really
Oh,
did think that he was going to run into problems early, and therefore Ricardo would get by, and that's all Ricardo needed then to use the pace of his car against the Ferrari. So I'm not sure
yeah.
that I think in the first instance where he pulled away too fast, that was fairly clear that that was the case, and he was in some respect lucky that the safety car came out the way it did, because or when it did, because that meant he could at least stay pit under with the rest of the field. It
Well,
forced the rest of the field to pit
yeah.
early, and the same thing happened on the second pit stop. The field was forced to pit early. I mean, Ricciardo was looking to get super softs on at the end, and it would have been against Vettel on the primes, right?
No, you're right. I don't know if it was luck or if it was calculated. We got to remember that every race so far, which has been held in Singapore, has seen at least one safety car. The
Mm.
track is so difficult that the moment you go into the barriers, they got to call a safety car. So
Right.
I think they were playing on the fact that the safety car eventually would have come out. Also, there is the fact that having Kimi third, uh, they they might well, they have the opportunity to actually decide the strategy even for Red Bull too, because Vettel stopped at a certain point, but Kimi, they might have decided to make an undercut, for example, and pit
Yeah.
Kimi
Yeah.
before. At that
Yeah.
point, Ricciardo would have been forced to get in the pit lane. So
Mm.
basically, the problem with Red Bull was that it was in between. So and Kimi wasn't really much slower than Ricciardo. So
Mm.
they were between a rock and an hard place, literally.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think they played the card really well. I mean, that was a really good strategy, and was kind of exciting. I think something that you don't see very often.
Mm.
Something delivered that well.
Yeah, I thought we were robbed in some respect because of the safety car timings. That was my issue. Ricardo having to switch on to the
Hmm.
uh, to the soft tyres rather than the super softs at the end, just because the safety car came not near enough to the end of the race to allow that to happen.
Yeah.
In other words, if he'd put super softs on at the time of the safety car, he never would have made it to the end of the race. So he had to put soft tyres on, which was forced upon,
Hold on a
which
sec.
was forced. It was forced to Ferrari.
There,
Even if it had come later, they still would have had to put
yeah.
soft tyres on, not super softs.
There is Dragnout, I'm sorry, saying that the video is unlisted. So I
Oh
don't know
shit!
if
What do I
they.
have to do?
I have no fucking idea.
Can you ask him?
Hold on. I'll ask him. Yeah, please and go ahead. I'll ask him.
We may as well stop it until, because I don't even know what that means. Probably have to stop it and start a new hangout. That's why I wanted to do it on gyms.
Let's see what he replies. He's replying. Hold on a second.
Cool.
Okay, he doesn't know either. Right on. Uh, yeah.
Oh, right, there we go.
Yeah. Oh, it says that people without the link can't see it. So, yeah, I
Ah,
think
okay.
it's. Hold on a second. Oh, it says there is an option for audience before you make the event, which is it's too late. Hold on a second. I'm gonna ask him. Okay, no, well, there's something I can do actually. Hold on. Let me click on the watch link I gave it to you and see if it's working. Let me see. Yeah. It's working. There you go. So we can continue. The link you posted on the second post actually works. So yeah, you can carry on.
Okay, cool. I'm just going through responded. Maybe I'm just looking at. Oh, right, these are from you. Okay. Anyway, so where were we? There we go.
Yeah, you were talking about the fact, that the pace car. No, sorry, the pace car.
Ah,
Fuck
yes.
me, the
The
safety car.
second the second safety car was the kind of issue because it was looking quite nicely that the Red Bull would be on super soft tires at the end of the race,
Hmm.
and that kind of was quite a major thing to me. I was looking forward to at least seeing that, and also with the first supercar, with the first safety car, I should say, um, when Lewis then also went on to soft tyres for the middle stint,
Hmm.
the same as Ricciardo. So, and I think that second car really spoilt that possibility. I think Vettel would have still won it, and if anything, but nonetheless, it would have been nice to see the chase. Um, you know.
Yeah, you know what about that? I'm not sure if that was that might have as well been the original plan of Red Bull to go
Yeah.
with free stops. So at the end, I don't know if it would have really changed too much. But
Well, no,
yeah, I mean it's a point. It's a fair
two
point.
stops,
Yeah.
two stops. I'm saying with the middle stop being,
Hmm.
Ferrari went super soft, soft, and Red Bull went super soft, soft. Would have been super soft, but
Yeah.
unfortunately they had to go soft, soft. On the end because it was too
Hmm.
far from the end of the race to go with the super soft. So it would have been nice if either the second safety car hadn't come out, or that had
Hmm.
come out some laps later when Ferrari were beginning to lose pace on their tyres.
The,
I
the
think
the other.
it wouldn't have made too much difference because Vettel had saved the tyres during that stint. He was, as
Yeah.
Lewis kept saying at the beginning of the stint, Sebastian's backing everybody up. Sebastian's backing everybody up.
Hmm.
So I think he'd saved his tyres, and it would have been okay anyway.
Yeah.
But it would have been a more thrilling end to the race rather than everybody being on the same tyre at the end.
Yeah, the other option is, that it might be that Ricciardo was actually making the race on Raikkonen because of the timing, in qualifying and all the other stuff. He probably saw that, that Sebastian
Mm.
was too fast for him. So it might have been that he made the race on Kimi, and see what the fuck happens. So,
Mm.
yeah, I don't know. Really, I don't know. But yeah, it was interesting. It was interesting
Yeah.
for everybody but Mercedes, I think. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I had to say that. It's always like that. If you win too much, you cannot be really. Yeah. You can't
Yeah.
have the public.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah. I agree.
so.
You don't want to know how many times I called Schumacher a cheater during
Yeah,
those
yeah,
years.
yeah. Of course. Yeah, I understand that. Mm.
Yeah.
And do you have any news on exactly what happened on Lewis's car?
On
Because
Lewis's car.
apparently there are problems with the throttle. It showed us on the data during the race that basically the throttle wasn't fully opening.
Mm.
So and it's and of course it's a ride-by-wire system. So the throttle valve is actuated with a small electric motor, which receives the input from the ECU.
Hmm.
So it was either an electric problem or it might have been, the sensor on the pedal, something stupid like that. But
Hmm.
I don't know. Did you got any news about that? If you do.
Well, I checked it last night. I haven't checked it this morning, or today rather. But during the race, somebody was saying that, or one of the radio messages was saying that it was likely to be after the potentiometer one came through. That another one came through to say that it was likely the battery wasn't charging, or battery wasn't doing, and that's all I could get to really, is that
Yeah.
the turbo was working, the engine was working, but the energy recovery systems weren't, the ERS weren't working.
So it's the second time that we see a major problem on Mercedes engine, in free
Mm.
races.
Well, I think
I
this is the
mean,
new engine, though. I
it
mean,
is the
the
new
old
engine. Yeah.
that's the issue, because
Well,
if they have to take another engine, then it's another new engine, and that's a five-place grid penalty.
yeah. Well, the new engine had problems in Monza with Rosberg.
Mm.
So yeah, there is that too. But I guess it's something which happens. But
Well, this
still,
is
it's new. From the beginning. It seems to be
Mhm.
they were undestroyable. So
Well, this is the big issue, because for me, this is a huge issue for Mercedes, because if they couldn't get Rosberg's engine sorted out for this race, right? Because they're
hmm
using, in Rosberg's car, they were using an old engine, or the old style engine, I should say, the unupdated version. Um, and that means that they've either got to go back to that with Lewis, right? And he's on his fourth engine
yeah.
now, so he's got to take a fifth engine. So I presumably this is a big problem, because they're going to drop back 20 horsepower, 30 horsepower, presumably.
Yeah, yeah.
Certainly during qualifying, if not during the race. So this throws the championship wide open. I don't think this means that we can rely on, and especially if they're going to mess around with the tire pressures,
Oh
then
yeah, the tire pressure was another interesting thing. We spoke yesterday about that a little bit, and I've got to admit that I, after we spoke, I read, some journalists, some, really technical people that basically they said, that what I thought was almost impossible, but I repeat anyway because at the time to me it seemed a really smart point. My my
yeah, me too.
basically what we're talking about is that my fear was that uh, the, well, my impression was that the Mercedes had problem at traction problem, and to me it seems to be they had the same problems that they had last year. Basically, what happened last year was that they were heating the rear tire too much, and the front tires they were not in on temperature. So what they had to do, they had to go a little bit slower, not to overshoot the rear tires, and to increase the mostly the mechanical grip on the front, to eat the front tire. So it was kind of a strange alchemy. And what I told you yesterday, my opinion was that maybe, just maybe, the fact that they had to run with a minimum pressure might have increased the problem, meaning that, one way to do, if you have problems with the rear tire getting too hot, is that you lower the pressure a lot. Now they cannot do that, and I thought that might have been an issue, but I must be honest, and I listened to really smart guys on Italian TV, and he said that the difference, and that question was actually made in the show, but he said that the the difference in pressure before the new rulings was so small that it was, in his opinion, almost impossible that that would have been a factor. So I don't really know. It's a fact, that Mercedes, even last year, they have always suffered on really hot
Mm.
tracks.
Yeah.
So
And if we look back, I guess let me just actually go and do it while I'm thinking about it. Um, yeah, no, if we look back, can you remember the other tracks that Sebastian won on?
not on top of my head,
Oh,
actually.
Malaysia,
Yeah,
hot.
yeah.
Hungary.
Yeah, it
Oh,
was a
that was the
middle
one where
summer. Was
and the Mercedes took themselves out, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean,
And
if that's
Singapore.
true, there are good chances for at least. I don't think Japan is going to be a good track for Ferrari, but definitely Abu Dhabi will be one.
Hmm.
Probably Brazil, hopefully Mexico.
Yeah.
So yeah, it might be really interesting. It might be really something that you would not have expected at the beginning of the year.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so let's just look quick. So we got Japan. Well, we would expect the status quo to be kind of returned there. Russia, there's no way that's going to be hot.
No. Well,
I
Putin might
suppose,
might do something. Never know.
I suppose states could be because that's in Texas, isn't it?
Hmm.
So if they have Indian summer, that could be pretty hot. Mexico, likewise. I don't think Brazil is particularly, especially in November. We're getting late
Well,
in the
but it's
season
it's
there,
on the
isn't it?
southern hemisphere, so it's basically spring
Okay.
over there.
Mm.
So
So
that
if
that
we
might be one. And
one,
Abu Dhabi,
two,
of course, I mean the last one.
yeah, for sure, Abu Dhabi.
Yeah.
Uh, Brazil, the Mercedes is generally run pretty well at Brazil, I think. So even last year they were still okay.
Yeah.
But we're looking
And,
at maybe three tracks then
hmm
at best. So that's 75 points with Lewis not. Yeah, I mean Lewis would have to not finish
Yeah, but I mean, you see, but
five of
that's
those.
yeah, but that's the main issue. It's not. I don't think that the championship is so open. To be fair, okay, but just the fact that now it is something feasible that Lewis might not finish a race, and not because of an accident, but because of mechanical failures. I think that kind of puts even the team on another pressure. It's another
Mm.
kind of pressure. And
Yeah.
I mean, Niki Lauda's face was was actually worth the old race. Poor
Yeah,
bastard.
I've got to
Yeah.
say, Toto Wolff as well at one point
Oh yeah, yeah,
looked
yeah.
more than serious.
Yes, yes, yeah. Seriously
Which
worried about it.
yeah, which kind of made me laugh. I think
Yeah.
and the stress is clearly there. So yeah, I think you know, th- hey Jim, welcome.
Hey, hey, hey.
Hey man.
Can you hear me?
You're quite low in volume.
Oh, I'm not anymore.
Not
No, no,
anymore.
yeah,
Is that okay?
Welcome.
yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
Welcome, mate.
Cool stuff. Yeah, sorry about that. I've just been looking at PA equipment. Uh,
No problems, no problems. We were just, talking about. We basically said we basically only talked about Ferrari and Mercedes. We haven't touched anything else so far. So if you have something to, what were your impression of the race?
um, I thought, well, first of all, I thought it was a mega race. I thought it was a real kind of highlight for me. I like it when things are a bit different. And massive congratulations to Ferrari. They really delivered there. I was genuinely happy for Vettel, which is not something you get to say a lot. Um, But this might sound like a bit of a conspiracy theory, but I wouldn't be surprised if Mercedes knew that they didn't have the aero package for that particular circuit, and they just figured, well, wouldn't it be a shame if we had some kind of engine problem, which meant we didn't put miles on Lewis's engine, and it just there was something seemed a bit too convenient about it for me. When they knew they weren't on the pace, I'm okay. I'm going to go ahead and say it. I think they deliberately pulled Lewis up. I don't think he had a serious technical problem at all.
Hmm.
And I say that
Well,
as a big fan. You know, I trust people like Toto Wolff, I, but it just seemed too convenient to me. I mean, they had cars in front of them that they never expected to be behind, and I think they thought, you know, well, let's not put an entire race on this engine.
well, that's an interesting point. I don't know if a guy like Lewis would have ever accepted that and to retire in such a way. I mean, it was passed on live television by cars that he doesn't even know they exist. You know.
That's what he said. Yeah, he actually said, "I knew when I was getting overtaken by Marussia something was going wrong." Yeah,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
he just seems so upbeat about it. He wasn't. Normally, he gets a face on about
Yeah,
it, and
yeah.
he just seemed to be so philosophical about it. I thought,
Well,
No,
I don't
I
know. I
understand.
mean, yeah, might be, might be. I don't think so, but yeah, it might well be. I
No,
mean,
I think.
he was still in front of Rosberg when he started having problems, isn't it?
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
any point would have been, cool with him.
Yeah, I tend to
Um,
agree there actually.
other big surprises, sort of since the last time we spoke. I was really surprised that Bottas and Massa have re-signed for Williams. I was really surprised that Hulkenberg's staying at Force India. I was especially surprised by today's news that Pastor Maldonado is still hanging on at Lotus. Um, whether the ink will be allowed to dry on that contract once what we all think is going to happen with Renault actually goes through. We talked briefly about this last time. I don't think Renault would be happy with Pastor, but he's hanging on in there.
Yeah, well,
I mean, if
he does bring an awful lot of money to the table.
Mm, mm,
He is
mm.
yeah,
the highest paying driver out there.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
and
So
also, where the fuck do you go if you're Pastor Maldonado? I mean, I'd be sleeping in the car.
yeah. Oh yeah, yeah.
I'd be glued to that fucking car.
he's
So
had a rough time, hasn't he?
yeah, yeah.
But what Toto Wolff was obviously, I thought what was vindicated from the performance of Ricardo and Kvyat was absolutely, Mercedes were absolutely right not to even consider providing an engine to Red Bull. That thing would be flying with a Mercedes engine in it.
Yeah.
But I mean, definitely positive news if the rumours are true about VW entering. Um, we'll see a Red
It
Bull with
comes
a
through.
Ferrari engine for 2 seasons, and then an
Yeah,
Audi.
yeah.
I think
This
that
is
the
what.
interesting thing here for me really is that Ferrari aren't going to want to do the same thing either. So at some point, Red Bull are going to have to be made to accept a second-class engine.
Well, they
Uh,
will get they will
All
get
right.
the customer engine. The one that is
yes.
usually
Exactly, but
provided. I mean,
they said they would leave if they didn't get the works engine.
well, to be fair, they put themselves in a really tight spot. They already know that Mercedes is not going to give them engine. They're not saying we're a no. So unless they want to put Spring, that's Ferrari. So you know what? I mean, they don't really have too much of a choice.
What if
Christy,
Bernie were to say to Ferrari, "You must supply them a works engine, or we'll take away your gratuity, the 30 million, 35 million bonus that Ferrari get for competing."
No, that's something that cannot happen. I mean, first of all, no, 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 it cannot happen for
Well,
very,
even by
no, for
Bernie.
very good reason. Well, given a works engine, that's something which it will not happen. They might have, a high spec engine, whatever the hell, they will never get a work. I mean, that doesn't happen in any motorsports ever. And the 35 million is not something that it's up to Red Bull. It's actually part of the
No. I didn't mean that.
Concordia Pact. So they all have to agree, and good luck with that.
I think this whole thing of we'll walk away unless we get our way is just a bit of show and tell. Christian Horner would be insane not to go with a supplied engine from Ferrari for just 2 seasons. If it's definite that VW Audi are going to enter with either the Lamborghini mark or the Audi mark, then I think he'd be insane to. I mean, how many championships did they win? I mean, they're forgetting how recently they were massively ahead of everyone else. I think they'd be stupid to get out of it, and it would be a real shame for the young drivers on the young driver program. I don't think it'll happen. They won't walk away. They'll go with a Ferrari manufacturer engine.
I mean, they kept trotting along with that dog of an engine that they had this year. Really. I mean, it can't get any worse than that.
Exactly. Yeah.
So.
And that's the piece of shit that's going to be going into a Lotus. So.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean.
But Eddie Jordan on the BBC's coverage raised an interesting point. What the hell is going to happen to McLaren unless Honda get their shit together?
Oh yeah. And next
They
race
can't go
is
anywhere.
in Japan. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're even in more of a tight spot than Red Bull.
I would take you back to probably, I can't even remember what years now, when Michael Andretti was racing for McLaren. Okay. I mean, how many years did they have in the wilderness through that period? I think it was about 3 years on the trot that they were finishing 16th, 17th.
And who was their engine supplier then?
I think it was Honda.
I think it was Ford. Still a Ford, I think.
Could be a Cosworth,
Yeah.
Could well have been, yeah.
No, the fact is, that Honda actually made such a shitty appearance that it beggars belief. It wasn't that bad even when they get back to the beginning with the turbo engine. They weren't that bad. They were actually quite good from the get-go. But this one is a bloody disaster. I don't know what possessed them, but.
Well, from what I hear, it's from what I've heard anyway, and please correct me if I'm wrong, or when I'm wrong, I should say. I heard that it was the energy recovery system again which was giving them the problems. So they can't actually recover enough energy on a lap to be able to deploy the full amount that they're legally or that they're allowed to. And that's a real problem for them.
I've heard gearbox, but I might be wrong.
They're the biggest engine manufacturer in the world.
Yeah.
Yeah, but think about the energy recovery systems that the other cars are using. They're all the Mercedes ones, and they've been developing that for how many years now?
Yeah.
I mean, it's even all the other manufacturers switched to a Mercedes ERS because they couldn't get the same efficiency out of their own.
No, you're right. But keep in mind, what Jim said is true. When Honda commits to something, and I have direct experience with motorcycles. When Honda commits to something, they do in huge numbers. I remember at the time when I was involved in motorsports, the number of engineers in Honda for the motorcycle I'm talking about, for the frame only, was the same amount of engineers that we had in all Ducati for the whole fucking bike. I'm not kidding you. They had 150 engineers on the frame, and we had 150 engineers for the whole bike and everything, including Superbike. So when they commit, they go there, and
which begs the question: if they've committed to McLaren with that level of commitment, what has happened to all of that research and development? Why is the biggest engine manufacturer in the world putting a piece of shit in a McLaren car?
I don't know. And I mean, you can tell everything about Ron Dennis, but Ron Dennis is not an idiot. So I think at the beginning the things were different, and then I don't know if they blew in their face or what. But
okay. Yeah, I mean, I kind of heard that at the beginning Honda came in with one idea of developing the engine, and then were told you can't. So
Well, it's sealed the fate of Jenson Button, unfortunately. It looks like he's going to choose Suzuka to announce that he's out of there.
Yeah.
You know, massive shame for the guy. I mean, it's just fair enough, one-time world champion, but you know, it's a real shame to see him go. I mean, presumably he'll stay in motorsport. I think the rumours of him going to Top Gear are absolute nonsense. I think he'll go to WEC.
yeah.
I think he wants to drive Le Mans. I think he'll go to Porsche or Audi, a world endurance car. Other points I wanted to talk about the actual race. What on earth was going on with Max Verstappen at the end there? Asking him to change place. He was furious.
Oh, he said no. Yeah, fuck it.
I
No,
mean,
he was
kudos to the guy. You know, he'd done everything that he could, but
Yeah, it was really funny to watch. There is one thing. He probably would be able to do that in Toro Rosso. If it were in a works team or whatever, they would have shot him. You know, I mean, they would have snipers. You know, taking him out.
I don't know. I don't know. Because I don't know. I don't know. I think it's a good thing because he's kind of put his mark down.
yeah,
Said, just don't bother employing me as the number 2 driver. Just don't forget about it. You know. So I kind of like that. You know what I mean? You know, you could never imagine Vettel going back to being a number 2 driver. Schumacher never could have been a number 2 driver. Even when he tried to be a number 2 driver, he failed.
No, I mean, but don't get me wrong. It's just only that, you know, if he happens to go driving for a big team like I don't know, even McLaren or even Williams, you know, places like that, you know, if they tell you that you've got to slow down, you will slow down. I mean, you can say no once, but I don't know which car you're going to race next race. You know what I mean? And apparently they said that just because they saw that, you know, Sainz was faster, so they want to, and they thought that they might have, you know, jumped another position. But yeah, but the guy said no, yeah, which was okay. I mean, he started last, so he got in that position really with blood and tears. So yeah, it's kind of understandable. And he's 17, for fuck's sake. Come on.
Yeah.
there was also some mega racing, nose to tail stuff from the Saubers with Roman Grosjean. I thought there was some excellent driving there. It was that was the race to watch when it was obvious that Ferrari were way ahead. Other GP2 drivers to watch out for. If you don't watch GP2, Van Dorn and the guy who had his debut for Marussia this weekend, Alexander Rossi, fantastic drivers, stars of the future, I think. GP2 is really worth watching for those two fighting for the top position.
I'd like to talk about Van Dorn, actually.
Well, the rumour obviously made all the stronger by the fact that Jenson Button is expected to retire at Suzuka, is that Van Dorn could be the new driver at McLaren, and I think that would be fantastic for them.
Yeah, I'm so impressed with him. He keeps out of trouble at the beginning of races. He always seems to have his car in the right position when trouble's going on around him. I'm just so impressed with the way he drives. Really.
Talking about new drivers, did Rossi miss the drivers briefing? On how exactly the safety car works. The safety car stayed out 2 more laps because they wanted Rossi to pass them, and he just didn't, and he was stuck between Ricciardo and Raikkonen, and I think Raikkonen was fuming. You could see smoke coming up from the car.
Well, he had no radio for the last half of the race.
Oh yeah, but come on! I mean, the guy is coming from the US. That's. I mean, this is what they do. And also, I mean, you're there. I mean, you're supposed to know how it works.
But it's this ridiculous thing of unlapping cars that have been lapped on the safety car. Why don't they just let them drop back? Everyone else in the rest of the pack knows that that's the car which is dropping back. Clearly, if someone's driving off the racing line, even behind the safety car, they're dropping back. And everyone knows it's a Marussia, so it's going to be that car which is dropping back. But no, we have to have 2 laps under the safety car for absolutely no reason whatsoever. it's things like that when you're watching Formula One with people who don't follow it and come out with the usual cliches about they're just going round in circles. You're sitting with
Well,
someone who doesn't normally watch Formula One and shit like that
you,
happens, and it's like,
you don't even have to have them drop back. All you've really got to do is have them drive through the pit.
no, exactly,
That's it.
even
Just
better
drive through
idea.
the pit. One lap, drive through the pit. You're at the back. There you go. So it's a joke, and I think there's so much politics in Formula One that every time you go, well, why can't it just be like, yeah, there is a reason.
Well, you guys can tell whatever you want. I kind of like the safety car, but everything but the virtual safety car. That's I mean that's bad. I mean, if I ever seen something bad, that's bad. It doesn't work. It is incredible. I saw the timing when the virtual safety car was deployed.
Oh, virtual safety car.
Yeah, the virtual, yeah. And there were some drivers, pacing 2 seconds, more than the other guy in front. I mean, that's a travesty. It's so bad. I cannot believe that. So if that's the alternative, safety car like there is no tomorrow. But that one is really bad.
Yeah, Rosberg was driving too fast under the virtual safety car at the last race as well.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really bad. That's really bad. I don't know. So yeah,
It was a knee-jerk reaction to obviously what happened with Jules.
yeah.
So I could see why they wanted to do something, but I can't see it lasting. I think it's universally disliked.
Yeah. No, even because you cannot really understand what the fuck is going on, You can't. So even from a spectator point of view, it's pointless. You see those cars, even if it worked the way it's supposed to be working, it's a waste of time. 3 laps with the car supposedly in the same position, one from the another, touring the circuit.
Yeah.
It makes no sense.
Well, if they're going to control the lap times of the cars, then you only have to do that with the lead car and say that's the safety car.
Well, but the fact is now they control the lap times. You've got lights on the steering wheel that is telling you if you're going too fast or too slow.
I'm saying you don't even have to have a car driving out to be a safety car. You can just nominate the lead car as the safety car and tell that lead car to drive to a certain lap time. And then everybody else will just follow up behind it.
Yeah, but that's another problem because you could do that, but the problem is the communication with the lead car would have to be as good as with the one with the safety car. So basically, the race control would have to take the leading pilot, the leading driver, and tell him what to do, what not to do, and if the pit got to talk with the guy they're not supposed to because the other one. I mean, it would be a fucking mess. I don't know.
Well, you say that, but in Microprose Grand Prix 2... you could do just that.
Yeah.
So looking forward to Suzuka, a very different circuit. I think it's pretty obvious that Mercedes are going to have their pace back.
Yeah.
Singapore's to be honest, I'm not a big fan of the Singapore circuit. They made some changes this year where there was kind of more of a chicane put in on where they go over the bridge and everything. But I don't know. It's not my favourite circuit. It looks pretty under the lights and all the rest of it, and I'm sure there's some commercial reasons why Bernie wants to keep it. But Suzuka's more my kind of thing, hopefully, and I can't believe I'm saying this, but hopefully Ferrari will have taken, a big boost from clear dominance they had this weekend. And take the fight to Mercedes for the rest of the season, but I suspect that Mercedes will be back to business as usual come first practice on Friday.
Right, before we leave Suzuka, before we leave Singapore, I just want to say one other thing. I agree completely with the diagnosis of the track. It's as boring can be.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, the last kind of issue is that the pit exit needs changing. All right, because this is the second or third crash we've had by people coming out the pits into the and crashing into
Uh,
cars at the
uh,
first corner.
yeah, but honestly, I mean, you might be right, but Ulkenberg was an ass anyway.
Yeah, it was
Uh,
Hulkenberg's fault.
yeah. I mean, there is no doubt about that. He just made the corner as if uh, Massa wasn't literally there, and he knew he was there.
Of course, he knew he was
So
there. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, he saw him, so he's in front of him, and so yeah, I don't know. I don't know what possessed the guy. It was so stupid. I can't believe that. But well, anyway. Yeah, I agree. Japan will probably see Mercedes back. We were talking about before. I think that there might be some other tracks which are suitable for Ferrari. And I said, Abu Dhabi for sure. Uh, Probably Brazil, and hopefully Mexico. I mean, I'm saying mostly all the tracks where it's going to be really hot, because apparently this is where they deliver better. The Mercedes seems to be some problems with mechanical grip. So if the track is really hot and this is where you got to find the grip, they seem to have some problems, but we'll see. I mean, it's going to be fascinating. Just just the fact that the bloody Mercedes, breaks down, it's new. I mean, I'm sorry for the guys, but it adds spice, to the races.
It certainly does that. Yeah, I'm still very worried. I think that if this new engine is not going to prove reliable before the end of the season, then I think Mercedes have got a big problem.
Yeah.
So Lewis is already on his fourth.
Yeah.
And if they want all new bits because of the new engine, then presumably it's not just taking 5 place grid penalties. It's probably 10 grid. They've got to replace 2 parts maybe, not just one engine or one turbo or whatever. I don't know how the new engine's structured or whether it uses the old parts or not, but
This was my point earlier on about a sneaking suspicion that they knew they weren't competitive at Singapore, and so they thought, hang on a minute, Lewis is on his 4th engine here, and we've got some really big races coming up. If we end up having to go to a 5th engine, that's going to be 10 points. It could get really close with Rosberg. I mean, it was, there were a couple of other drivers who could mathematically do it, but realistically, Rosberg's the only other driver on the track that Lewis is racing for the championship.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It could be conspiratorial, but it just, for a team that it's so big on strategy and likes to think that it has everything under control, I think the pace of Red Bull and Ferrari this weekend really shocked them, and they thought, well, let's wind it back. Let's save this engine.
No, you're right, but there is one thing to consider, and this is something talking more from things from the past, personal experience and stuff like that. That happened with Red Bull too. Up until you might have a really fast car, a big team, no mistakes and stuff like that, and they seem invincible. The problem is that you never know how they're going to behave under pressure. So it might be different. There are some teams which do really good when everything goes well, and they really seem invincible. But the same team might crack under pressure with the same material. So I think that even these kind of races, they might show some cracks in the Mercedes warship, if you get what I mean. That might be a point worth considering.
David Coulthard on a BBC coverage was saying that Mercedes engineers were coming up to him, shaking their heads and saying, "We have no idea."
Yeah.
Yeah,
no, you're right. I mean, and that's the difference. For example, with Ferrari. I mean, Ferrari, granted, they started from a really distant point, so they have everything to gain. But the attitude they've showed during the year, they've said from the beginning, it's gonna be tough. We probably win one race it might be good, two races is going to be a miracle, and three races, we're going to pay everybody champagne. But the only thing we can promise, we're going to work hard, and that was, and I think it showed the different attitude. Vettel was able to actually unite the team in ways that honestly I haven't seen since Schumacher was in the team.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So yeah, and I really liked also the fact when he set up the pole, and he was walking to the to the scales. He actually stopped and say hi to the guys from Red Bull. So I think that was really cool. But
Yeah, I've got to point out as well that was a stunning qualifying lap.
It was
yeah,
fantastic. Yeah, it
yeah.
really was fantastic.
Absolutely off the chart.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just I really loved that little flourish. He'd already absolutely nailed Paul, and just go around and stick in an even quicker lap. That's the kind of thing we like to see.
Yeah.
That's the old Vettel, isn't it?
Mm.
Yeah. Anyway,
Yeah, well,
so
the Tifosi must be over the moon to have
oh
Vettel
yeah,
win.
yeah. Bloody hell! I mean, I drank so much wine, you couldn't believe that.
Yeah.
No, it was really funny, and you could see the good thing is that you could see in the faces of the guys, on the track. There is this sense of relief and commitment, and the fact that you're doing an hard job, but it pays off in ways. So and that's reassuring, from a fan point of view. You see the people is committed and they deliver. So yeah, they're focused. That's really good.
They'll win lots of championships with Vettel. There's no doubt about that. But I
Yeah.
think Lewis has got another couple of seasons yet. I think
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely. I agree with you.
he's got the bit between his teeth. He's chasing after those big numbers. He's chasing after Senna's records.
Yeah.
He's chasing after Schumacher's records. He wants to be that level of legendary world champion, and I think it's going to be a while before that slips, because he's a rather controversial point. I think he's a better racer than Sebastian Vettel. There's no doubt at all. Sebastian Vettel is really, really quick. I think Lewis's overall racecraft is like nothing we've seen in a long, long time.
Yeah, I don't know if I agree with you. I mean, if I had a team, I would like Vettel. If I had only two races, I would love Lewis. If you get, I mean, the guy, even if it's not true, I mean, the numbers are there. But to me, it seems to be that uh, the guy is consistent, but I don't know if he's reliable. If you get what I mean, you know.
I do.
I, I, I don't know what happens. I really want to see, and I'm not saying that because I want that to happen, but I really want to see Lewis in a fucked up situation where everything goes wrong. Like, well, I'm saying a McLaren, but in something which is really, really, really difficult, and I want to see how he gets out of it, because we've seen Vettel, and Vettel just he bounced back. I don't know
Brazil.
about Lewis, and probably will do that, but we've never seen him doing that. So I don't know. I see
Uh,
Sebastian as more complete. I've seen him, winning and losing, and he bounces back. He's there.
Oh, yeah, well, he
I,
had a
I would
couple of
just.
shocking seasons at McLaren before he went to Mercedes. I mean, he kept his chin up there. I think he's shown that he's definitely matured.
Hmm.
Well, one of the things I'd point out is that one of his early kart races is from last to first.
Yeah.
Right, so he's definitely good, no doubt about it. And
Oh
then the
no no
second
no no
thing,
no.
the second thing is really that he's had to learn to save fuel, drive the car, and save tyres. None of which were things which he was particularly good at before two
Well,
years ago.
yeah. I mean, to be
And
fair,
and
everybody
now,
had to learn that.
yeah, but now he's better than
Yeah.
Rosberg, and Rosberg
Yeah.
is known for being able to manage cars.
No, no, you're right. I mean,
So
yeah, but to be fair, if with the exception of Maldonado and the two guys in the McLaren, everybody had to learn to do that. I mean, to conserve fuel and go to the distance. See the checker flag. I mean, those three guys, they just couldn't be bothered for various reasons.
Well, I mean,
Maldonado.
yeah, it's not their fault. I mean, the
No,
Schumacher
no, no.
years, that's when it
Yeah,
changed. In the Schumacher
yeah,
years, it went from being let's conserve the car and win at the slowest pace like Prost did, to no, Schumacher's 100% from lights to flag.
No, I know. I'm just being a smartass. Come on, guys. Fuck you. I mean, Sebastian won and Kimi's third. Fuck you all. I want to see. I want to see everybody else crash and burn. You know what I mean?
I repeat what I said earlier. I was genuinely happy for Ferrari this weekend. They raced for it and they got it, and it was good to see Raikkonen on the podium as well. Definitely deserved it. But I think that gritty determination is part of Lewis's DNA. There's a race you can watch in its entirety from when his last season in GP2. I think he had a bad start, or he didn't get a good qualifying, or whatever. But for some reason, he started from basically the back of the grid, and it was the year that I'm forgetting his name. He knew he was. I think he was second in the championship, and he knew that he was getting a drive at Toyota, and Lewis was first in the championship, and he knew he was going to Formula One. And Lewis's performance, I think it was Silverstone GP2. It was just, I mean, he was overtaking a car every lap. He came from like dead last to a definitive win, and it was just like, and that hasn't gone anywhere with him. He's a complete racer. Whereas Vettel, to be fair, he was in the most dominant car from the moment he joined Red Bull. He didn't have to race from mid-pack. He didn't have to fight through the back markers to get some of those classic Red Bull wins.
No, but I totally agree. I don't want to be misunderstood. I mean, I'm not saying in any way, shape, or form, that Lewis is a inferior driver or whatever the hell. I think they're, at best on par, if not better. I'm not disputing that. The point I just made is that I've seen Sebastian dealing with different situations that Lewis, hasn't dealt with, with that depth. So, I consider Sebastian to be a little bit more complete, but, it's purely personal and, for just personal reasons, one of the things, for example, that I love, and it has nothing to do with how fast is Sebastian, is the environment that he managed to build in the team. That's something which is so precious, the ability to gather the people around and everybody is happy to work with you. That again, if they told me at the beginning of the year, I would have told you that you're batshit crazy. I mean, Vettel, really? No. Everybody else but Vettel, and he managed to do that. So again, but they're fantastic drivers. So we're just nitpicking, I think.
Well, I've been out all evening doing stuff, and literally as soon as I walked in the house, I switched the mic on and joined you guys. So I need to go and do some things that I've been trying to do all evening. I've been buying equipment for my new band. It's all very exciting stuff. Good chat, really good chat, and really looking forward to Suzuka, and hopefully we can do this again next Monday.
Yeah,
hopefully.
I like it when there's back-to-back races. I don't like having to wait for races.
Absolutely. Okay, so we'll end on a big congratulations to Ferrari and especially to Vettel to returning to winning ways, and that bodes well at least for next season, if not for the rest of this season.
And we even got to see Kimi smiling. That was a
fucking hell. I mean, it was still with the glasses, even at night, but still.
Okay, guys. See you next Monday.
There you go.
Take
Thanks
care.
very much.
Thank you very much.